When a growing e-commerce brand lacks a clearly defined identity, its external messaging quickly becomes a collision of conflicting signals. Conventional industry logic suggests that aligning these messages is primarily for the customer, a way to build trust and long-term loyalty. But focusing strictly on the external audience ignores the primary structural benefit of a clear brand identity. This specific benefit is the operational heuristic, a cognitive framework that lowers the mental load of decision-making for the teams behind the scenes. Stable emotional messaging is more than a marketing tactic. It is an internal tool for managing the production of work. By applying a rigid emotional identity, it acts as an alignment tool to solve execution chaos and clear operational bottlenecks. Effectively, managing a brand's external emotional output becomes the most efficient way to manage internal team operations. Most e-commerce businesses unintentionally create emotional confusion across their different marketing channels. You see it when a flagship campaign projecting a premium, luxurious feel runs concurrently with a hyper-discount-driven ad set, or when a calm, nurturing onboarding email is followed by an aggressive, panic-inducing urgency alert. These erratic emotional shifts fracture the identity. The customer no longer understands the brand's core values because those values seem to change by the hour. This unpredictability triggers buyer hesitation. When a brand's behavior is inconsistent, the experience of purchasing from them feels uncertain. Customers feel safer with businesses that appear controlled. Predictability lowers the psychological barrier to purchase because the brand feels dependable. Without familiarity, you lose the comfort and stability required to transform a first-time buyer into a repeat customer. Firm external emotional dissonance actively repels buyers because it signals a business that hasn't yet mastered its own identity. To fix this, we have to look past the customer experience and examine the internal e-commerce production pipeline. Why do these chaotic shifts happen in the first place? They happen because of a vacuum in decision-making. Without a clear identity, every new campaign forces the team to debate basic brand parameters from scratch. This diagram shows a standard pipeline where marketing, design, and operations lack a central constraint. The communication lines are tangled and disorganized. This creates decision friction. Tasks are passed back and forth in endless revision cycles because there is no objective standard to measure them against. These cycles compound, leading to decision fatigue and operational bottlenecks that slow the movement of work to a crawl. This internal bottleneck is the direct cause of the luxury versus discount dissonance. The output is chaotic because the process behind it is unconstrained. Inconsistent marketing isn't a creative failure, it's a symptom of internal operational friction. High-performing brands eliminate this friction by intentionally operationalizing their consistency. By dropping in emotional framework into the center of the workflow, we create a rigid constraint that all work must pass through. Internal decisions immediately snap into alignment. Subjective debates disappear because the framework provides a yes or no filter for every idea. Copywriters no longer guess at the voice. The framework dictates the tone and messaging parameters automatically. Designers and strategists receive the same standardized parameters for design and promotional offers, creating a uniform flow of work. This framework aligns cross-functional teams without requiring constant management oversight or repetitive approval loops. When you implement a rigid emotional constraint, you remove the need to debate identity, allowing the team to dedicate its full bandwidth to execution. For executive management, this turns the creative process into a predictable system. Execution quality scales up as soon as you remove variance and guesswork from the pipeline. An emotionally constrained team can produce at a velocity that chaotic, unconstrained teams cannot match. This is the momentum of a complex system operating in perfect synchronization. Ultimately, stable brand identity acts as an operational accelerator for scaling businesses. This brings us back to the original goal, building long-term customer loyalty. The cycle is complete. Internal predictability leads to high-quality execution, which creates the external stability that earns customer trust. This systemic predictability gives a brand an execution advantage that is difficult for less organized competitors to replicate. If you are leading an operations or marketing team, you can test your own system with a simple audit. Review your last 5 customer-facing messages. Look specifically for emotional variance and shifts in tone. If those messages are fractured, the solution isn't a new campaign. It's repairing the internal machine that produces